going to start two lines in from Daf Nun Beis. V'savri Beishamai. So this goes back to the first statement that it said in the Mishnah regarding the opinion of Beishamai and Beisilil that they argued regarding a person that's drinking wine before a Suda. So, I'm sorry, that's the next halacha actually in the Gemara. Regarding a person that's making Kiddush or havdalah. So the question is, what bracha comes first? The bracha of Beirei Pri Hagafen or the bracha on Shabbos v'Yom Tov? Asher Kitshana b'mitzvah Yisov. So Beishamai's opinion is the first bracha you make is Asher Kitshana b'mitzvah Yisov, the bracha of the day. And then after that you make the bracha on the wine. Beisilil says the opposite. You make the bracha on the wine and then you make the bracha on the day. So the Gemara is going to bring a braisa and act a contradiction on the opinion of Beishamai. Let's begin inside. The Savri Beishamai. Do Beishamai hold the Brachos Hayom Adifa, that the bracha that you make on the day, on Shabbos and Yom Tov, takes precedent, and that's the bracha you make first? But Tanya, we learned in a braisa, Hanichnas lebeise b'matzah Shabbos, a person enters into his house on matzah Shabbos, mevarach ala yayin. So the bracha that you make when you make havdalah is the following order: first wine, then vala moir, then on the candle, then vala besamim, and va'achakach oim havdalah. And following that, you make the bracha on the nusach of havdalah, hamavdul ben kodesh l'chel, and so on. If the person only has one kais of wine, and he wants to eat malav malka, and then he's going to have to bench, and when you bench, you should be benching if you're doing it with zimun on a cup of wine. So then, manichel la'achar hamazain, you leave that cup of wine for after benching, umishal shalon kulon la'acharav, and you first bench on that kais of wine. And following the benching on the kais of wine, then you do the order that we just said, which is the order for havdalah. Okay? Even though you're not supposed to eat before havdalah, but in this case, since he only has one cup of wine and he wants to bench with the cup of wine, you're allowed to. That's what Taisus explains over here. But generally, of course, you're not supposed to eat before havdalah. So the Gemara is assuming that this brisa, could be, yes, correct. So the Gemara is assuming that this brisa is Beishamai. And if it's Beishamai, here it says the opposite order, that Yayin comes before Havdalah, with the Moir and the Besamim in between. But Yayin is before Havdalah. In the Mishnah it said that the bracha on the day, Hamavdil, according to Beishamai, comes before the wine. So it's a contradiction. Frag the Gemara, V'hamimai de Beishamai. What tells you that this brisa is Beishamai? Did it say anywhere the Beishamai's name over here? Duma Beisilil. Perhaps this brisa is Beisilil's opinion. So the Gemara, no, that can't be the case. Because it says here in this brisa that first you make the bracha on the fire, and then the bracha on the besamim. Who's the one that holds that that's the order of the brachas, first on the fire and then on the besamim? Beishamai. This is Beishamai's opinion. And the Gemara brings a brisa to prove that. The Tanya, Rav Yehuda said, Beishamai and Beisilil do not argue about what the order would be if you're going to use the same kais for havdalah and for benching. That first the bracha should be on the havdalah, first the bracha should be on the mazain, and then the havdalah should be at the end. But al manach leku, what are they arguing on? Al amar v'al besamim, about the order of the fire and the besamim. Beishamai say first you make the bracha on the fire and then on the besamim. First the bracha on the besamim and then the bracha on the fire. So right over here we clearly see that Beishamai is the one that the bracha is on the fire first and then on the besamim. So the brisa we quoted before, it didn't have Beishamai's name, but from the order of the brachas you can see that brisa is Beishamai. So we go back to our contradiction. According to Beishamai, what comes first, the bracha on the day or the bracha on the wine? So the Gemara says, wait a minute, this itself is not so simple. How do you know that the brisa we said before follows Beishamai's opinion based on this brisa that we just brought in the name of Rabbi Yehuda? Perhaps the brisa we brought before is Beis Hillel's opinion, and it follows according to Rab Meir. Who's Rab Meir? The Gemara doesn't quote it here, but Rab Meir goes back to our Mishnah. The Gemara will later say that the Mishnah that we had at the beginning of the Perek is Rab Meir. What did it say in the Mishnah at the beginning of the Perek? Both Beishamai and Beis Hillel agree that the bracha on the fire comes before Besamim. But it says in our Mishnah, if you remember from yesterday. So who says that this brisa follows the way Rab Yehuda learned their argument? Maybe it follows our Mishnah. Beis Hillel also agree that the fire comes before Besamim. So the brayso we quoted before without a name could still be Beis Hillel. So there's no contradiction in Beis Shammai's opinion. So the Gemara says, no, loisal kedaitach. That's impossible. You can't say that the brayso before follows our Mishnah. Why? What did it say in the Mishnah, in the beginning of the Perek? Beis Shammai oimrim, what's the order? When you have to do the benching and havdalah on the same case, what's the order? Do you bench first on the case? Do you say the bracha of benching first? Or do you do havdalah first? What did it say in our Mishnah? Beis Shammai oimrim, ner umazim besamim v'havdalah. So, forget about ner and besamim now, but it's clear right over here that benching comes before havdalah. That's what it said in our Mishnah. Beis Hillel oimrim, ner u'besamim, and then mazim v'havdalah. But according to both opinions, benching is before havdalah. Ve'hasam, and in the brayso that we quoted before, what does it say? The brayso ketani, im ein loy ela kais echad. If all you have is one kais, what's the order? What do? Manichay la'achar ha'mazayin u'mishalshalon kulen la'acharov. That first you bench on this kais, and following benching, then you do the bracha of havdalah and the moir and the besamim. So it's clearly the opposite of the order that it says in our Mishnah. So Shmami no, the Beis Shammai. So the only way to explain the brayso before, whose opinion is that brayso going according to it? It has to be Beis Shammai. Shmami no Beis Shammai, hiva liba de Rabbi Yehuda. And the way we explained the opinion of Beis Shammai in the brayso over here, not according to our Mishnah. So omikol mokaim kashya. So we come back now to our original question, which is the contradiction in the opinion of Beis Shammai. What's the order of the brachas? Do you make the bracha on the day first, and then on the wine, like it said in our Mishnah, or do you make the bracha on the wine first and then on the day? And for the Gemara now introduces a new answer. Kesavri Beis Shammai, Beis Shammai's opinion is Shani iyuli yaima ma'afuki yaima. You can't compare when the day comes in, when Shabbos begins, to when the day comes out. The Mishnah was talking about when you make Kiddush, when the day begins. The Brayso is talking about when the day leaves by havdalah. What's the svara to make the difference? When the day comes in, as early as you can bench and thank the Eibishter and sanctify the Shabbos, the better it is. You want to take the earliest opportunity to mention the holiness of Shabbos. But when it comes Matzah Shabbos, when the day goes out, as much as you can delay mentioning the fact that Shabbos is over and we're separating between the holiness of Shabbos and weekday, so we want to delay it as much as possible. Therefore, Beis Shammai says over there it comes after the bracha of Yain. So it shouldn't seem that Shabbos is upon us like a heavy weight that you're trying to unload of. Now the Gemara comes back to another detail that we had in the Brayso before. V'savri Beis Shammai. Is it Beis Shammai's opinion that birchas hamazon tu'una kais, that you should bench on a cup of wine, and therefore Beis Shammai said in the Brayso that when you have only one cup and you have to make havdalah on it, wait until after you eat balav malka and then bench on it, and then afterwards make havdalah on it. Does Beis Shammai require a cup of wine for benching? We learned in our Mishnah, going back again to the Mishnah in the beginning of the Perek, Balem yayin lachar hamazayin. What happens if a person gets wine that's brought to him by the end of the meal? He's finished eating, it's before benching, and wine is brought out to drink. What should you do? Should you drink it right there and then bench? Or should you first bench and then drink the wine? So if that's the only cup of wine that you have, Beis Shammai oimrim, mevarech ala yayin, first make a bracha on the wine, and v'achakach mevarech ala mazin. And then after that you'll bench. So what's the simple pshat of this Mishnah? My love, don't you think the pshat over here is the mevarech ilavei v'shasile? If it says you make a bracha on the case of wine, wouldn't that mean that you make a bracha and you drink it? So you drink the cup of wine, and then you bench without any wine whatsoever. So you don't need the wine for benching. So before we said that if you have Matzah Shabbos, you shouldn't make havdalah, and you should wait until you come to benching. Right? So even though there's an isser to eat before havdalah, but because it's so important to have the kais for benching that you eat before havdalah and you save the cup of wine for benching. So what's going on? What does Beis Shammai hold about this? It's like the Gemara loy. This is not the pshat in the Mishnah in the beginning of the Perek. The mevarech ilavei, you make a bracha on the cup of wine according to Beis Shammai when you have that wine that came to you at the end of the meal. The wine that came to you by the end of the meal. But then you leave it there. You don't drink it. You make the bracha by the priya gofen. Then you bench, and after benching you'll drink the cup of wine. But we said that when you make a bracha on something, you can't make that hefsek. You have to taste something from the wine that you made the bracha on. So he has to taste something from it before. He has to drink it before. So he's not going to have it later for benching. And for the Gemara, the time, so he'll taste from it a little bit, but it doesn't mean that he drinks it all. He still has to leave the rest of it for the benching, because Beis Shammai holds that you do need the kais of wine for the benching. Frag the Gemara, wait a minute, that's not going to work. Once you taste from the wine, so the wine becomes pogum. The wine is not fit, it's blemished. It's not fit anymore to be used, not for kiddush, not for havdalah, not for benching. One of the things about kais shel bracha is that the wine can't be pogum. So once you taste from it, it can't be used anymore for the benching. And for the Gemara, the time lebiyadeh, he doesn't taste directly drinking from the kais. He pours a little bit of the wine out of the kais into his hands, and then he sips it from his hands. It only becomes pogum if you drink it directly from the kais, not if you drink it from your hands. Fragt the Gemara, v'ha'amar kaishel bracha tzarich shir, but a kaishel bracha has to have the full shir of a revius. If it says here that he only had 1 cup of wine, the assumption of the Gemara was he had 1 cup of wine of a revius. So if he's going to taste from it, then even if he tastes from his hands, then it's not pogum, but it's not going to be a revius anymore, so he won't be able to now bench with it. And for the Gemara, this is a continuation of the question. So now that he tasted from it, so it doesn't have the proper share that it's needed. And for the Gemara, the nafish le tfei mishiyuda. So he has more than a revius. He has more than 1 cup of wine. It's not just 1 cup of wine. The Gemara, it says clearly that if he only has this kais, then he saves it for havdalah. He saves it for benching, that is. So it says clearly that he only had 1 cup of wine. And for the Gemara, this is the pshat. This would be the pshat in this brayse. Trei loihavi. He does not have 2 revius, and he doesn't have enough to divide for benching and for havdalah. But umichad nafish. But he does have more than a revius. He does have the amount more than 1 cup that even if he'll taste from it, he'll be able to bench afterwards. Okay, so therefore the Gemara concludes that it's not necessarily a stira over here, from the Mishnah to the Braisa regarding Beis Shammai's opinion. But now,
what's the reason if somebody brings you wine in the middle of a meal that you have to make a bracha now? Like, why do you even need that? Why can't you wait?
Can't you what? Okay. It's in the etiquette of a meal. It's part of the dinner etiquette.
Drink wine, you need to drink it.
Drink it wine. Someone brought the wine. Don't wait until later. Drink it as soon as it's brought. Yeah, that's all it's about. Frag the Gemara. Now the Gemara, after all of this discussion, going through question, answer, and it solved everything, the Gemara comes at the end of everything and says, wait a minute, there's a clear brayse. You get the wine at the end of the meal, the wine is brought out, you should drink it right then and there. So Beis Shammai holds that you drink up the wine and then you don't have the wine for benching. So you don't need wine for benching. And after that you bench. We're forced to say that there are 2 different Tanaim in the opinion of Beis Shammai. There's the opinion of Beis Shammai in the Mishnah. You don't need wine for benching. There's the opinion of Beis Shammai over here regarding havdalah, and the brayse we brought at the beginning of the page, that if you have 1 cup for havdalah and for benching, you're allowed to eat malav malka before, and you delay using the kais until after havdalah, after benching, that is, and then you make havdalah.
If you have a zimun,
you're supposed to have a cup of wine. That's the Alter Rebbe brings it in Shulchan Aruch. You're supposed to use a cup of wine for zimun as well, even when you have only 3 people. Especially if you have 10 people, you should definitely use it. It's brought in the Yom as well, that it's our minig, to use a case of wine for benching. As I state. But people are not makbid in it for whatever reason. But, I don't know if it says that. Yom it says Shabbos Yantiv. I don't think so.
Well, you at a pizza shop, you have to bring a bottle of wine with you.
They should provide it for you. Sagt die Gemara weiter, Beis Shammai Yomrim v'chulo. So it said in the Mishnah, there's an argument between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel regarding a person that's drinking wine before the meal. Not after the meal, but he has wine that he wants to drink before the meal. And as we'll see soon, somebody Shainim say that this Gemara is not talking about making Kiddush Friday night. It's talking stam. A person has a meal in the middle of the week and he wants to drink wine. So there was a machlekes in the Mishnah, what is the order the person should do? Beis Shammai says, first wash your hands on Natilas Yadayim for a maitzi, and then drink the wine. Beis Hillel says no, first drink the wine, and then after you drink the wine, then you should go and wash your hands. So the question is, what's the shayrish of this argument between Beishamai and Basilul, whether you should wash your hands before you drink the wine or after you drink the wine? Tana Rabbana, we learned in a Braise, Beishamai Yemin and Beishamai said, Neitelen liyadayim. First you wash your hands, v'achakach moizgin esakais, and only afterwards do you pour the cup of wine, do you drink the cup of wine after you wash your hands. Why? If you're going to say you pour the cup of wine first, Gzeira, so then there's the following Gzeira. Shema yitamu mashkin sha'achayre akais machmas yodov. So now what's going to happen is, if you're holding a cup of wine in your hands, so it's very possible that that cup of wine will spill over and you'll have some liquid from the cup of wine that's outside of that cup. If that liquid is outside the cup, so then what happens? It becomes tameh from your hands. A person's hands is always under the presumption of tumah. This is a gzeir of Chazal. A person's hands is a sheni l'tumah. It's a gzeir of Chazal that they made for the Kayanim in order for them to wash their hands before they eat truma. And the same applies to everybody. This is the reason why we wash an altilas yadayim before you eat bread, before you eat hamaitzi, because a person's hands is a sheni l'tumah. Again, it's a gzeir midrabanan. Minatayra, there's no such a thing that a person's hands is sheni l'tumah. It's a gzeir midrabanan. So now your hands are a sheni l'tumah. So if this person did not wash his hands yet, so his hands, which are a sheni l'tumah, is going to be metama the kais that he holds in his hands. And the Braisa says, how will his hands be metama the kais that he holds in his hands? So the Braisa says, not because he's holding the kais in his hands, but because the liquid that's outside the kais comes in contact with your hands, and then that liquid will make the kais tameh. Why it works that way, the Gemara will explain in a moment. But that's what the Gemara says here. Again, Shema yitamu mashkin sha'achayri kais machmas yadav. The liquid that's on the exterior of the kais that's now touching your hands will become tameh. V'yachseru v'yitamu esakais. And then that liquid will make the kais tameh. And as we'll see later on Omid Beis, Beis Shammai holds you shouldn't be drinking out of a kais that's tummy. So Gzeira, you shouldn't drink from a kais that's tummy.
So it's not making the wine inside tummy.
No, does not make the wine inside tummy. The Gemara will explain that in a moment. It makes the exterior of the kais tummy.
Wine is one of the 7 liquids that.
Yes. Let's see. Frag the Gemara. V'letama yudayim l'kais. Why wouldn't the person's hands, which are a sheni l'tumah, why wouldn't that make the kais directly tameh? Because he's holding the kais in his hands, he's touching the kais. Why are we saying the issue is that the liquid on the exterior of the kais touches your hands, and that will make the kais tameh? And for the Gemara, yadayim shni is saying the level of tumah that there is on the hands is only a sheni l'tumah. Ve'ein sheni oisa shlishi b'chulin. There is a rule that the furthest level of tumah by chulin is only a sheni l'tumah. There is no such a thing as shlishi l'tumah. The existence of shlishi l'tumah is only by truma, and then by kachim it goes a step further to a revi l'tumah. Regarding chulin, however, there's no such a thing as shlishi l'tumah. So therefore, if your hands are a sheni l'tumah and it touches the kais, it doesn't make the kais a shlishi l'tumah. So then, what's the magic of the liquid? So then, how does the liquid make the kais a shlishi l'tumah? So Rashi here explains Barichis that that's another gzeir of Chazal. Chazal were geyser that any liquid that comes in contact with any level of tumah reverts back to a rishon l'tumah. Liquid is something that's much more susceptible to tumah than foods. So therefore Chazal are geyser regarding liquids, that any liquids that comes in contact, not all liquids actually, there's the Zayin Mashkin, that come in contact with any tumah, it becomes a rishon l'tumah. So again, it's a gzeir of Chazal. And that rishon l'tumah now will make the kais, the exterior of the kais, tameh. Huh? It'll make it a sheni l'tumah. Correct. But now let me add one more detail to this. The very fact that this liquid, which is a rishon l'tumah, will make the kais tameh is a third gezeir of Chazal. Because the emes is, a rishon l'tumah only makes oichlin umashkin tameh. Min ha'teira, only an ava tumah could make a keli tameh. A rishon, correct. There are 3 gezeiras here. This is all one gezeira. The whole tumah v'tara is a ton of gezeiras, a bunch of gezeiras. So let's go through this again. We have 3 gezeiras here. The very fact that his hand is a sheni l'tumah is a gezeira. The very fact that the mashkin that touches his hands becomes a rishon l'tumah is weiter a gezeira. And then the very fact that mashkin, which is a rishon l'tumah, will make the keli tameh is also a gezeira. Because min ha'teira, a rishon l'tumah only makes foods tameh, not vessels tameh. So over here, there's a third gezeira of Chazal that it should make the keli tameh. that mashkin has a chumra to it, it's very stringent, and it makes the keli tummy. That's what could happen over here, and therefore Beis Shammai says, wash your hands before you take the kais into your hand, so now your hands are not sheni l'tumah anymore.
Every Friday night we do it fakert. You're holding your kais as your bent.
Okay, correct, because we don't paskin like Beis Shammai, as we'll see soon, we paskin like Beis Hillel. So again, let's see inside. The ein, sheni, oise, shlishi, b'chulin, eloi de mashkin. So it's only the mashkin that are more stringent, that there's a gzeirim b'darabana, that it's a rishain, and that makes the keli tummy. That's Beis Shammai's opinion. Beis Hillel loimer and Beis Hillel said the opposite. Moizgen esakos. First pour the cup of wine and drink the wine, v'achakach neitlum liyadayim, and then go wash your hands. What's the reason of Beis Hillel? Beis Hillel says the opposite. If you're going to say that you wash your hands first, so now Beis Hillel says, wait a minute, the kais itself might be tummy. So if you're going to take that kais itself into your hands, the kais might make your hands tummy. Beis Shammai is concerned that your hands that are not washed yet might make the kais tummy. Beis Hillel has an opposite concern. The kais might be tummy, and the kais is going to make your hands tummy. Let's see. Beis Hillel will say that you have to wash your hands. Sorry, that you take the kais first and then wash your hands. That you wash your hands first. Perhaps after you wash your hands, you didn't dry your hands properly, and so there's still moisture in your hands. Now the kais that you're holding in your hands will make your hands tummy. The kais, if it's tummy, it's going to make your hands tummy. It's going to make your hands tummy. So the Gemara here asks a similar question that it asked before according to Beis Shammai. If the kais is tummy, why would the kais not make your hands directly tummy? You're touching the kais. Why does it say that the issue is, according to Beis Hillel, because you washed your hands and there's moisture in your hands and therefore it becomes tummy through the kais? So the Gemara explains, no. Ein keli mitame adam. A keli does not make a person tummy. That's part of the rules in tumah. There's no such a thing in Atayra that a keli makes a person tummy. Frag the Gemara, but v'netame. Okay, 1 second. V'netame is really another question. So the only way the kais could make the person's hand tummy is because of the moisture, because he washed his hands, did not wipe his hands properly. So now that moisture, again, the rule by liquids and moisture is it becomes a rishon l'tumah. And once it becomes a rishon l'tumah, it makes your hands a sheni l'tumah.
Is there anything in Minatera about liquids, or it's just the whole
No. It's totally excited with the Rabbanim. In Atayra, there's no chumrah to liquids over other foods whatsoever.
Like, where does this come from? It's really random.
The rabbis, the chachamim, they were geyser that foods are not as susceptible to tumah. Any foods that grows on the tree, in order for it to be makabel tumah, it has to have been washed and prepared. There's a din of hechsher tumah regarding eichlem. Liquids, there's no such a thing as hechsher. Liquids, if any tumah touches it, it's automatically tummy. Food doesn't become tummy so quickly. So because liquids are so much more susceptible to tumah, as a chum or geyser and extra stringency, so that people should be careful with the liquids.
It's not the pasuk that it brings down.
No. Again, there's the question of susceptibility to tumah. So there, minatayra, liquids is more susceptible to tumah than foods. But as far as the fact that there's a chumrah in the actual tumah on liquids over foods that are not moist, there's no such a thing minatayra. This is a gzeir of Chazal.
Why wouldn't the towel make him tummy?
Why would?
Wouldn't the towel also could be tummy?
The towel itself. Yeah. Okay, we'll see soon in the Gemara about the towel. We'll see if I'm sure if it relates back to this Gemara. Okay, so now the Gemara says, wait a minute. Beis Hillel was saying that the kais that he has in his hands could be tummy. So the question is, if you're saying that the kais itself that he's using might be tummy, shouldn't the liquids inside the kais become tummy because of the fact that it's inside this kais? The liquids is touching the kais itself, so inside the kais the liquid should become tummy. And for the Gemara, no, that's not the kind of keli that we're talking about. A person is not going to be using a keli that's tameh on the level that the mashkin inside of it should become tameh. A person knows he shouldn't be using such a kais. But what are we talking about? The keli shenitmu achoyrav b'mashkin askinon the toichay toir v'gabay tumah. We're talking about a keli that became tameh with a tumah midrabanon. As I mentioned before, the very fact that liquid that comes in contact with a keli makes that keli tameh is a gzeira midrabanon. the liquid is a rishon l'tuma. The very fact that it's a rishon l'tuma is also midrabanan. But the liquid is a rishon l'tuma. The rishon l'tuma then makes the keli tummy. Min ha'Torah, a rishon l'tuma does not make kelim tummy. So the very fact that this rishon l'tuma is making the keli tummy is only midrabanan. We're not talking here about a keli that came in contact with a dead body or another original source of tumah that then the entire keli becomes tummy. The exterior, the interior. Here we're talking about, because that keli a person wouldn't use. Here we're talking about a keli that became tummy from the mashkins. So since it's only a tumah midrabanan, the chachamim were makel and they said that only the exterior becomes tummy, but not the interior and not the liquids that are inside of it. So therefore, the toichai toher, the gaboy tummy, only the exterior is tummy. Nan klish nitmu achayra b'mashkin, a keli that came in contact by its exterior to liquids, achayra tmeim, only the exterior is tummy. Taichai, v'oignai, v'ozna, v'yadav, the interior, or the handle, or ear, which is also a type of handle, or v'yadav, different types of shapes of handles to hide. They're all tummy. Nitma taichai, tahidin, they're all tummy. Nitma taichai, nitma kulei. Only if it became tummy from the inside, then the entire thing inside will become tummy. Okay, so the machlekes now, between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel is, what are we concerned about? Are we concerned about the fact that the kais is going to make your hand tummy, or are we concerned about the fact that your hand is going to make the kais tummy? What's the issue? So what's really the source of their argument? So the Gemara explains, the Ma'ika Mithli. What are they arguing about? Beis Shammai's opinion is, Asr le'ishtamish b'keli shenit ma'achayra b'mashkin. You're not allowed to use such a kind of keli. Even a keli that has this low level of tumah, midrabanan, that it came in contact in its exterior to mashkin, you're not allowed to use that. Why not? Gzeira mishum mitzaitzis. Chachamim made a gzeira not to use this kind of kais, because when you fill a kais to the top, so it could spill over on the kais, and then that kais will touch your hands and it will make you tummy. And so then you're eating, you washed for on the tilis yadayim to get off the tumah. But if you're using this kais which is tummy, you might become tummy again while you're eating. So there's a gzeira.
It can't be matama anything.
It's matama the person. What happens is if the kais spills over, so then it touches the exterior of the kais. Any mashkin that comes in contact with any tumah becomes a rishon l'tumah automatically, and then that rishon l'tumah comes in contact with your hands and makes your hands a sheni l'tumah. So you washed on the tilis yadayim, and then you're back to being tummy again, sheni l'tumah. So you didn't gain anything. So according to Beis Shammai, they made a gzeira not to b'chlal use such a kais. So therefore, v'lekel migza sham yitama amashkin should be yadayim b'kais. So there's no gzeira that if you're going to wash your hands before, that your hands are going to be moist and it's going to become tummy from the kais. You're not allowed to use a tummy kais. There's a gzeira not to use a tummy kais. So there's no concern that the kais will make your hands tummy. That's Beis Shammai's opinion. So therefore, better wash your hands before, that your hands shouldn't make the kais tummy. Beis Hillel has the opposite opinion. You're allowed to use this keli that has this level of tumah on the exterior. Amri, because Beis Hillel say that it should flow over, that the liquid inside will flow over, and then it'll touch the exterior of the kais. That's not common, and then that should make tummy your hands. We're not guys at that. That's not common. And the ikilamecha. So you are using a kais, perhaps, that is tamei on this level, and therefore ve'ikulamecha shema yitamu mashkin should be yidayim machmas hakais. So then there, if your hands are moist, the kais will make your hands tamei. So therefore, don't wash your hands before. Your hands won't be moist, and the kais will not make tamei your hands. That's the basis of the machlekes. Now, if this Gemara is talking about Friday night, Shabbos and Yontif, so there's an interesting thing that I saw. Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says that from this Gemara is a raya that when you fill the kais Friday night by Kiddush, by Kiddush, you don't mamash have to fill it all the way till the top when it's spill over. Because if you do, Beis Shammai is right. Person that has a kais that's mamash filled to the brim and lifts it up, it's almost impossible that it shouldn't spill over. So Beis Shammai is saying that it's likely that it'll spill over, and therefore their guys are not to use this kais. And Beis Hillel says, nah, lo shchichi, it's not likely. It's not likely. Mozai, that Beis Hillel held that you don't have to fill it up all the way to the top. But there are these shainim that say, the Ritz for the Meiri that say that this Gemara is not talking necessarily about Friday night. It's talking b'chlal about a person that wants to drink wine before the Suda. They have a raya that it's b'feidish not talking about Friday night. So according to that, it's not a raya to even negate the Kiddush.
Friday night's still a problem, like Shlomo Zalman Auerbach was saying.
Yeah, and a Chanami, you're right. Friday night it should be a problem. So we're noyig like Beis Hillel, so it should be a problem. You're right, and a Chanami. Okay. Good point. So here the Gemara says here the Gemara is going to bring a second shot of Basil.
But we are started to overflow.
The what? I didn't hear. What did he say?
We are started. We usually.
Absolutely, that's our minig, correct. I'm just saying what he brings in. I'm just saying from this whole discussion of Tum and Tara, a practical thing you could take out of this Gemara. David Acher. Another pshat that Basil said. Take if Niltilas Yadayim Suda. You want to wash right before you're going to eat the bread. According to Beshama, you wash, then you drink the wine, and then you're going to eat your bread. Basil says, no, you want to eat right before, you want to wash right before you eat. Zok the Gemara, my David Acher. Why is it bringing a second shot over here? Hachi kamalu Basil Beshamai. This is what Basil is telling to Beshamai. Liditchu damrisu. According to your opinion that you say, also lishtamish bekeli shachayr of tmeyin, that you're not allowed to use a keli that's tamei at all. The gazrina mishum mitzaitzis, because we're worried that it'll make you tummy because it'll splash over. So l'chayra, according to you, there's no reason why not to wash before drinking the wine, because the kais will not make you tummy even if your hands are moist. I still say that there's a second reason why to wash afterwards. The take of l'tilas yadayim suda, because it's better to wash right before you eat the bread and not make any interruption in between. Right, so this is the reason why we wash afterwards, because it's the second reason.
I didn't realize that you were trying to be quite good at bread washing also.
Yeah.
So you're doing one washing.
Yeah, one washing, yeah. So what was the next argument in the Mishnah? So you wash from the Tilas Yadayim, and you use the towel. So what did it say in the Mishnah? Where do you place that towel? So Beishamai says, you wipe your hands in the towel, and you put the towel on the table. Basil will say you put the towel on the chair, basically on the cushion on the chair. What are they arguing about? Where you put this towel? You wipe your hands with a towel, and you put it on the table. Why on the table? If you're going to say you put the towel on the chair, if the chair is tamei, the chair might be tamei. As we'll see soon, the chair could be tamei. So if so, this towel is moist. You just wipe your hands in it. So it has liquid. So it's going to make the towel tamei. Because of the chair that's tamei. And then you're going to use that same towel during the meal, and it's going to make you tamei. Again, the concern is that you wash on Latilas Yadayim, and then during the Suda you become tamei again. And it's purposeless that you wash your hands. So the Gemara asks a similar question that we had before. Why wouldn't the chair make the towel directly tamei? Why is the Braisa saying that it only becomes tamei because of the moisture in the towel? So the Gemara explains, Ein keli mitame keli. Minatayre, there's no tumah that's transmitted from one keli to another keli. The tumah is only because of the moisture, which becomes a rishon l'tumah, and there's a gzeir of chazal that will make the towel tamei. You're sitting on the chair. The guy's sitting on the chair, so why doesn't it become tamei directly from the chair? So the Gemara says again the same thing. Ein keli mitame adam. A keli minatayra does not make a human being tamei. That's the halacha minatayra. So therefore, the only concern is that the moist towel that you might use later in the meal will make the person's hand tamei, because the moisture transmits the tumah. That's Beis Shammai's opinion. Basil say no, put the towel on the chair, not on the table. If you're going to say you put it on the table, maybe the table is tamei. Beis Shammai is concerned that the chair is tamei. How about the table? Maybe the table's tamei. Maybe the table will make the moisture of the towel tamei. And then it's going to make the food on the table tamei.
If you have OCD, this sucks.
Why doesn't it say here that the food is going to become tamei from the table itself? If you're saying that the table might be tamei, so the food on the table becomes tamei directly from the table. Why do we have to say that it's coming from the moisture of the towel? And for the Gemara, hacha b'shulchan sheni askina. We're not talking about a table that's a rishon l'tumah, or that's for sure not even a higher level of tumah than that. It's only a sheni l'tumah. The ein sheni ois shlishi b'chulin. Sheni does not make a shlishi when it comes to chulin. As we said before, sheni is the furthest level of tumah that is when it comes to chulin. Ela de mashkin, only mashkin, because liquids always becomes a rishon l'tumah, and then it can make the food tamei. So now we have a machlekes here. Are we concerned about the chair being tamei or concerned about the table being tamei? What are they arguing about? They're both true. The Maika Mifligi, what are they arguing about? Beishamai Savri, Beishamai say, Aser lehistamish b'shulchan sheni. You're not allowed to use a table that's a sheni l'tumah. Gizeirim shemayich l'truma. Because if you can allow all Yidden to use such a table, Kainim that are eating truma will use such a table as well. Although for Yidden it's not an issue, because there's no shlishi l'tumah for chulin, but for truma there is shlishi l'tumah. So the food, the truma that they eat is going to become tamei. Beisil's opinion is mutar l'shtamish b'shulchan sheni oich l'truma. B'shulchan sheni, a yid is allowed to use a table which is a sheni l'truma. Oich l'truma zrizin heim. And by Kainim, we're not concerned that they're going to do the same. Kainim are careful. There's reason they'll be careful. They won't use a table which is a sheni. So therefore, the table is not an issue. According to Beis Hillel, you can place it on the table. Now the Gemara says right there. It said in the Brayse there. Davar acher, another pshat for Beis Hillel's opinion. Ein etilas yadayim l'chulin min ha'Torah. There's no such a thing as washing your hands for chulin min ha'Torah. The whole idea of washing hands only applies to truma. Min ha'Torah, there's no thing of eating and washing your hands before eating. The whole thing that we wash, the whole thing of netilas yadayim is a gzeirim d'Rabbanan that they will geyser that the kainim have to wash their hands if it's sheni l'tumah. And then they said, so all Yidden should wash, so it should become the custom throughout Klal Yisrael, so there shouldn't be a distinction. But Menatayra, there's no such a thing as washing your hands.
Because
so therefore,
there's no tumor, because
what?
You don't need to be tired.
There's no tumah that ice on the shnias liyadayim either. There's no b'chlal, no tumah on the yadayim. Okay, and the chanami. Menatayra, there's no b'chlal. Ain't it till it's yadayim? You're right. But that's even a further gzeira. Why my davaracha? Why does Gemara here bring a davaracha? Hachi ka'amrulu Beisil b'Shamai. This is what Beisil is saying to Beishamai. Chi taimro. If you're gonna say ma'is nagabi eichlin de chayshinon, ma'is nagabi yadayim de loy chayshinon. Why is it that we're concerned about the food on the table becoming tamei from the table that's a sheni l'tumah, but we're not concerned about the chair? Right? Beishamai explained that you're not allowed to use a table which is a sheni l'tumah. So we know why Beis Shammai wasn't concerned about the table. Beis Hillel never explained why he's not concerned about the chair. He just explained that a table is a sheni l'tumah. But why isn't Beis Hillel concerned about putting the towel on the chair? And the Gemara said, therefore, he brought a second reason. So again, ma'ash nagabi echlon de chashinan and ma'ash nagabi yadayim de chashinan. Afilahachi ha adife. The concern we have about the food becoming tamei, that's more important. Why? The ein etilas yadayim l'chulim min ha'Torah, because the whole concept of washing your hands has no source min ha'Torah. So mutav sheyitama yadayim. So it's better that a person should put the towel on the chair and his hands become tamei. The less loikim b'deraisa. This whole tumah that the hands become tamei has no source min ha'Torah. It's a pure chiddush midrabanan that they were geyser. We don't want to put it on the table to cause that the food should become tamei. Although even in this case it is a gzeirim d'Rabbanan, but the concept of tumah for the food is something that has a source min ha'Torah, and therefore that's more stringent. That's the conclusion of the tumah and Tara Gemara for today,
especially liquid.
Correct. Okay, now the Gemara goes to the next section of the Mishnah where it talked about before you wash mayim achreinim. What do you do first? Do you first clean away the food, whether the food on the table or the food on the floor, as the Rashi said, they ate then sitting on the floor, and then you wash mayim achreinim? Or first you wash mayim achreinim and then you clean away the food? Tanabana, we learned in the Brayse, Beis Shammai say, mechabden asabayis. First you have to sweep the floor, and then you wash your hands mayim achreinim. Why? Shematayim and neitel yadayim tchila. If you're going to wash your hands first, so then you're going to wash your hands over the food that's there, and you're going to destroy the food. So whatever leftover foods, you're going to destroy the foods. We learned about this in the previous Gemara. There's a isser of baltashkis, bizu yoichlin. You're not allowed to destroy good foods. So therefore, first remove any leftover foods that might be used in the future, and then you can wash your hands. So the Mefarshim already say that today's day and age that we don't wash mayim achreinim in this way. We wash it in a cup or in a place which is not, we don't wash it over the foods, so then it's not an issue b'chlal. Okay, so mafsed is eichlin. Avol netilas yadayim. Now this Gemara over here seems to be repeating the same thing again, but I'll read it inside. Avol netilas yadayim leBeis Shammai tchila lo yisvir lahu. Beishamai holds it's not an option to wash your hands first. My time bishum pirurin, because it's leftover crumbs that are there that you can wash over them, and you're going to ruin the foods. Okay, Mefarshim discuss why the Gemara repeats this line again. Let's go back there. Beis Hillel say that's not an issue. Im shamish Talmud Chacham hu. If you have a servant which is a Talmud Chacham, the Mefarshim say it doesn't literally mean that he's mamish a Talmud Chacham. You shouldn't be using a servant, a Talmud Chacham, but it means if it's someone that knows the halachas that pertain to how you do things by a meal. So then, hu neitel pirurin sheyesh b'hem kazayis. He'll remove the leftovers of the food that are large enough to be used in the future. Umaniach pirurin she'en b'hem kazayis. And he leaves over the food that are not a kazayis, and then you can wash ma'ayim achrayim, and it's not an issue. And this supports what Rabbi Yechanan said. Now Rabbi Yechanan, pirurim she'en b'hem kazayis, food that are smaller than a kazayis, mutal abda. You're allowed to destroy them. This goes back to the Gemara that we learned yesterday about bizu yoichlin. So here the Gemara is saying, any food that's smaller than a kazayis, you're allowed to throw in the garbage. You don't have to keep it for another meal. But food that's larger than a kazayis, you're not allowed to throw away. You have to use it for another meal. Okay, tell that to all the caterers. Kopanim, but there's one exception, benigay to using, benigay to the fact that you're allowed to be mevaza oichlin that's less than a kazayis, and that is of course what we learned yesterday when you have nuts and different things that l'chatchila are smaller than a kazayis. So that's the way the food is l'chatchila created, that it's smaller than a kazayis, you're not allowed to. We're talking here about l'mashal bread, chicken, or whatever other leftover foods that are smaller than a kazayis, so that you're allowed to throw out. What is the source of the argument between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel here? Beis Hillel savri asal ishtamish b'shamish hamaretz. Beis Hillel say you're not allowed to use a waiter that's an hamaretz that doesn't know the etiquette of the meal, and therefore he doesn't know that you have to clean off first. So if you're using a good waiter, he knows you clean away first the food, and then so you can wash ma'ayim achrayim before. Beis Shammai savri. Beis Shammai says muter leishtamish b'shamish hamaretz. Beis Shammai says you're using even a shamish hamaretz. So therefore, the shamish is not going to clean off the large pieces. So you're going to have to make sure to clean everything off first, and only then you wash ma'ayim achrayim. Amar Rav Yosef bar Chanina, Amar Rav Huna, bekuli pirkin halacha ke Beis Hillel. All of these arguments that were brought in the Mishnah between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, we always paskin like Beis Hillel. Bar meha. Besides in this halacha, where we paskin like Beis Shammai, that first you clean off the table, and then you wash ma'ayim achrayim. The halacha ke Beis Shammai. Rabbi Oishie switched around the names in the Mishnah that it's Beis Hillel, the one that says that you have to clean off the table first. And regarding this, the halacha is also like Beis Hillel, that you clean off the table first and then you wash ma'ayim achrayim. It's brought in Shulchan Aruch this inyan that you're supposed to clean off the pieces, the big pieces first and then wash ma'ayim achrayim. But, as I said today, there's no concern about the fact that the ma'ayim achrayim will ruin the food because we don't wash over the table like that. Klal, the zinin of the ma'ayim achrayim has a ruach ra over it, and you're not supposed to be there when you bench. You're supposed to move it off from the table. It's brought in the kafachayim. The what?
What did they used to do?
They didn't wash it over. They washed it on the floor or on the table, directly onto the table itself. And then the liquid went into the food that was left over there, and it destroyed the food. That's why there's this whole discussion, which is basically based on bizu yoichlin, on baltashkas. That's the basis of the whole argument. One more keta. Beis Shammai says neir umazim. What comes when you make the bracha on neir umazim? What comes first? Rav Huna bar Yehuda ikla lebei Rava. Rav Huna bar Yehuda was making havdalah by Rava. Chazia leRava the barach absamim bereisha. Rava saw that he made the bracha on besamim first. Amalei, so he said to him, why do you make the bracha on besamim first? Mechti. Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, if you look in our Mishnah, there's an argument about the order of the brachas, but both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agree, Amar like pligi. They're not arguing about the fact that you make the bracha on the fire first. The Tanya, Beis Shammai yomrim, ner umazayin, besamim v'avdalah. So the ner comes before besamim. Beis Hillel yomrim, ner ubesamim, mazim v'avdalah. But again, the ner is still before besamim, so that comes first. So why did you make the bracha on the besamim first? Ani Rava answered, Basrei. He answered after what he said, Zu divri Rav Meir. What you just quoted is only Rav Meir's opinion. Rav Yehuda says, Le'nechluku Beis Shammai u'Beis Hillel ala mazal shu b'tchila v'ala havdalah shi b'seif. They're not arguing about the order of what comes first, that the benching comes first and the havdalah comes second. Al man nechluku, what did they argue about? Ala mar v'ala b'samim. On the order of fire and b'samim. She Beis Shammai yomer ala mar v'achkach b'samim. Beis Shammai say first the bracha on fire, then on besamim, or Beis Hillel leimer besamim v'achkach mar. And Beis Hillel say first the bracha on besamim, then on the fire. So over here in this price, you see that Beis Hillel say that besamim comes first, and then the fire. Rabbi Yechanan said, Nagog am ke Beis Hillel, everybody's custom is to do like Beis Hillel, I'll leave it to Rabbi Yehuda according to Rabbi Yehuda. And this is the way we do it today. And the Mefarshim say that the argument is, Beis Shammai says, the hana of the candle comes before the besamim. As soon as you light a havdalah candle, you already have hana from that havdalah candle. The besamim, the hana comes only afterwards, when you smell it. So therefore that has to come second. Beis Hillel says, and that's our minig, no, you have to smell the besamim first. Because why do we smell besamim? Because the neshama yiseda that left the person, and the person feels the pain of the fact that his neshama yiseda leaves him. So you have to first alleviate the pain and smell the besamim. That's what the besamim has to come even before the bracha on the hana that he has of the candle.